And welcome to the Cosmic Human Design Podcast. Can you believe it, guys? It's number 7. We've been 7 of these. I hope everybody's enjoying them. They were excellent episodes. If you ever go back and watch some of them, they're really good. You guys, if you haven't gone to cosmichumandesign.com and got your free chart, that's where you start. That's where the power begins. The power pyramid, that is. And we're talking type, strategy, that's one, authority is the other, and profile is the other, and you have your power pyramid. That's the real meat and potatoes of the Cosmic Human Design. And then we get into more detail as we go along, but that's where you start to understand yourself. And JARIN, I don't know about you, but we've been working a lot together, and we've been working with this Cosmic Human Design for a couple months now at least. And I'm noticing a big difference in how I understand myself. I think how you understand yourself. And it's been an amazing journey with this stuff. So the proof is in the pudding, so to speak.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I was already there, but in the last couple days, all the notches have been crossed, experiencing how pure it is, how real it is. Remember, for people out there, I've been with this journey for 10 years of human design, having experienced the tropical. And now that we've moved into the true SIDEREAL of this Cosmic Human Design and had a few months, as Greg said, to try it out, I'm watching it work with absolute magic and absolute confirmation that it is the real deal. So I'm urging everybody out there to take a stab at it, take a jab at it, no pun intended, and
Careful
take a
with that
look,
word.
because it's the pure you. Yes.
Yes, absolutely. And of course, we have Yale graduate. He even has his representing with his sweatshirt on. Richard Mason, who did a lot of the mathematics for this and got the Cosmic Human Design up to speed with today's times and the astrology. And we've talked a lot about how that was adjusted, how that made a lot more sense with this sidereal astrology instead of the tropical. And it's just been an amazing journey with this stuff. Richard, you're still building upon it. You're still doing a lot of stuff. Are you noticing some big differences in yourself with all of this?
Oh yeah, Greg, like I couldn't even begin to describe the differences I've noticed in myself personally, going through this journey myself as kind of, I guess, the first recipient of Cosmic Human Design knowledge in a way, Of course, I did my own chart first when I was calculating all these things and, to test it, because that's the ultimate test really, is to see how it feels to you. And, I had studied human design enough to know absolutely what feels correct or not, and which of these channels and gates feels correct within myself, and as soon as I saw my chart with these calculations, these new calculations, new for human design, I just knew it was correct. I could see myself in the chart. After studying my chart so thoroughly in the standard tropical human design, and kind of comparing and contrasting all the different gates, because I wasn't satisfied with the original human design chart. That's kind of what sparked all this. I wasn't satisfied with it because I felt it should have a much bigger impact than it did originally. And I found myself trying to fit the chart into my life rather than rather than it just coming at me and kind of me fitting myself to it, because it's correct. So that's kind of how I knew that, the original chart wasn't completely correct. And this true sidereal astrology, it makes so much sense, Greg. It makes so much sense to use an astrology that goes by how the sky actually looks, rather than the standard tropical astrology, which is vastly out of date now. It's 2 millennia out of date, and its time is over. I know that there are so many people out there really who are going to probably stick with tropical astrology to the end, because I think in general, astrology has this power, it has this power to influence your mind in a way, and this power to set all these, projections up in your life to where, once you're inside the system, it's hard to leave it. It's hard to leave tropical astrology for a lot of people. And this is why I say this is one of the, outer lids of the matrix that we're blowing off right here. Tropical astrology, it's tropical astrology. And tropical astrology has this power over people that, I don't think they even realize is going on. And what's amazing about it, really, Greg, is that it can affect you even if you don't believe in astrology, which is kind of crazy when you think about it. It can affect you even if you don't believe or know anything about astrology. It can still affect you because the people around you, at least some of them are believing it. And so it changes their thoughts. I mean, just think about it. If you are, really geared into your tropical human design chart, then you're consciously trying to become that chart in a way, which is different from what we're doing here with cosmic human design, by the way, because in cosmic human design, I feel, the chart is true. It's true. You don't have to fit yourself into it. In fact, it can help you uncover things about yourself that you didn't know were there. And like I've talked about, revealing your true self and all that. But yeah, tropical astrology, I think it kind of creates this global consciousness field almost, because it affects the people around you. And so their thoughts pass on to you, it passes on to the next person. And then before you know it, the whole group of people is involved in this, astrology system, which isn't true. Yeah. And that's what we always have to remember. We have to remember that the tropical astrology system is not true.
Which is going to be really hard for some people to hear, Richard. But yeah, that's the thing with change. It's really hard on us as human beings when we have patterns and we have all of our friends around us. Maybe we've built businesses around it, those type of things. Maybe we believe in it so greatly that we really do look at like the stars and say, oh, it's in Mercury retrograde. Oh no, it's you know what I mean. So you're actually bringing it upon yourself when it's not even in that right now.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
Exactly. You're creating your own reality. Everyone is always creating their own reality. Yeah. That's what you got to remember. You're always creating your own reality. And whether that reality falls into alignment, into harmony with the rest of the cosmos, it doesn't have to. It doesn't have to. The cosmos is going to allow you to make mistakes. And that's what a lot of people can't admit. They can't admit that they made mistakes. And so we've got to remember though that we can always come back from the mistakes and rejoin the greater harmony that's already out there in the cosmos. It's waiting for us.
Absolutely. Well, Mr. Kenyon, you've been coaching people for 10 years in this human design system. That's how you met Richard in the first place. And we're talking fundamentals tonight. We're going to really get into some fundamentals of this stuff. How have you been seeing it with clients, and how has it been affecting them in their lives?
Well, point blank, what it boils down to, in my view, and Richard's view also, and what he's expressing, these are my own words. The old design feeds your ego, which even in this lifetime consciously, you may not be thinking that you adhered to, but you are now. What this cosmic human design does is it puts you in true harmony and into your pure self. And in a sense, I like to say it'll make you a slave to God. It'll make you a slave to your inner true self. And when we do that, we live an amazing life. We have a huge purpose. We experience all our dreams. The other one kind of feeds the system. So we become a slave to the system, become a slave to false time, really. And we don't get helped in the way we should be. So, faith will be restored with cosmic human design. When you start to practice it, you will see faith will be restored. With my private clients, oh my God, the ones that have taken to it, I'll be honest, the ones that are new, people that just coming around human design period, that are just getting cosmic human design period, it's immediate soul knowing, immediate put into practice, and it's working. I finally found myself. Now I can be myself. With the clients that have been around human design for a long time, it's a mix. 3/4 of them have taken to it, and they're like, finally, this is it. The other one wasn't working. This is more pure. This is me. This is amazing. And then, there's some that, like Richard mentioned, haven't quite accepted or embraced it yet. It hasn't worked for them yet. They're not quite going there. Not necessarily clients, but people that I know that are really invested in human design. And again, no matter what anybody tells you about anything, you have to feel within yourself what's right. You have to constantly do your own research. And I don't just mean externally, I mean intuitively, understanding, what's inside of you that fits. So that's up to you, for you to do. But for those of us that have kind of aligned to it, we're watching a lot of success happen. And it almost feels like freedom, in a sense. We're waiting as this transition happens for, this new dimension and the new earth and global freedom and all that. This kind of gives you freedom to be yourself. Now, there's still the challenge of having to live that, living in the higher accordance of higher virtues that the cosmic design system can show you within your gene keys of how to actually live that. It's not saying it's easy. I mean, you still have to, be a bigger person, be a better person, be a more futuristic person of the species of the planet. But now at least you have the real map. You have a real guideline and a real map, as opposed to trying to be someone else that's not really you, that was convinced it's you, which goes back to the ego of you are not your mind, body, and emotions. Are they controlling you, or are you controlling them? And are you living from the inside out, or are you living from the outside in? And cosmic human design will give you that golden map.
Yeah, those are great words, Jarin. And I just want to say, that one of the primary teachings of human design, which has always been one of the primary teachings, is that we can't trust our minds to make decisions for us. And I believe that, as Jarin was talking about the ego, the ego is based in the mind, in our mind, and that we call it the ego because it's not yourself, but it pretends to be like you. It pretends to be yourself. And what it is really is this set of mental programs and constructs about reality that aren't true, that kind of live a life of their own in a way. Humans, we have the cosmic gift of language. However, we haven't quite learned to use it properly yet, I believe, in that we've created, in a way, this false reality that a lot of us are still living in, as Jarin mentioned, the false time and all that stuff, 3D reality, whatever you want to call it, which is all based on language. It's based on the false use of language, more to the point, and it's based on false words and phrases. When you boil it down, that's what it's based on. that embed themselves in your mind and over your life. Try and run your life, because the mind can be programmed almost like a computer with words and phrases. That's the truth of it. And the more we wake up to this, the more we can say no to certain words and phrases and certain ideas, certain beliefs, certain concepts, all based on words and phrases, right? Like, for example, the phrase "Joe Biden is the president." that's a word and a phrase, right? That a lot of people right now, believe, I guess. I don't know how you can believe that, but some of them do, right? Because it's in the words, because the words themselves create that reality, But as soon as you say no to that, then you can start to separate yourself from that and start to see the truth, about all the voter fraud and all the stuff that's been going on there.
Wow. We're hitting the political.
Maybe we shouldn't talk too much about that on this show, but
why not?
Hey,
that's
like,
just a good example.
Sometimes I feel like this show, we're just the boys sitting around talking, you know what I mean? Whatever comes up, comes up. But yeah, when we talk about the fundamentals of cosmic human design, and we talk about Joe Biden. No, I'm just kidding. We're going to look up his human design someday.
He's not one of the fundamentals of human design. So.
But we look at cosmic human design, and we look at, I really wanted to examine this, Richard, in a business atmosphere, okay? When we want to build a small business, let's say, right? And we're looking at, let's say we have 10 employees and we bring them through the Cosmic Human Design program. Let's say we hire JARIN KENYON to come to our business. Take them through the Cosmic Human Design program, get all their designs, get them a mild understanding of who they are. And we've got all these people, right? And JARIN brings it to the mastermind, Richard, and you guys sit down together and you look through the staff. And you say, where does everybody fit? Is this possible with Cosmic Human Design? Is this something that you can do and build a business around this?
Oh, Greg, yeah. The possibilities for business are truly endless with Cosmic Human Design. Yeah, there's even a specific language in the human design world. There's already been a specific language that was developed specifically for business called the Bg5 Codes, which basically what it did was it kind of substituted all the types and channels and those words for different, more business sounding words. Like, for example, the projector became an advisor, the generator became the builder, the manifestor, the innovator, and stuff like that. So there have been attempts already, successful attempts to apply human design to business. Now, but that was with, the false tropical astrology, right? Imagine what we can do with, when it's actually correct, when the charts are actually correct and how they can line up in a business. And because, in a business, certain people either tend to be overlooked, or certain people might tend to exercise undue amount of power over others, that they think they're in charge of, for example. And all these different, business things could all be made so much more clear if everyone had their charts. And furthermore, if they saw how they were connected together, because there's actually already a language for this. When multiple people come together, they kind of create a new consciousness that wasn't there before in a group. And you can actually analyze that with the human design language and see how many, see how many projectors you have, see how many manifestors, and for example, certain channels in the chart are associated with leadership capabilities, and you could see how many of those people you had in the organization, and what they were doing. Do you have your leaders doing the manual labor, for example, or something like that? You could figure that out and correct that. Do you have your good analysts working at customer sales or something, working on calling people on the phone or something instead of analyzing data? You could figure that out with cosmic human design charts.
Well, I'm particularly excited because it's correct now, because I have background where we went into a company and we worked initially with 80 of the employees. We were designed at first to go to the full company of 200, but we only made it through 80 for about 6 months. And that wasn't the correct design, which thankfully we have now. But having said that, yeah, it's amazing, because what the whole goal is here is you putting people into doing what they want to do, what they love to do, and what they excel at, and then helping them understand the immediate people, at least within their sphere, of how they function together. Richard talks about words and phrases. So when I was in this company, Manifesting Greatness, the major aspects of it was your human design and then your words, which was a writing practice, so that you can, be passionately moving toward your dreams while you're emphasizing your talents in the process along the way. And when you marry your passions and your talents, you're going to achieve greatness. And that's what that was all about. And it's amazing what can happen. As Richard mentions, when two people come together to create, they form a whole nother self. I mean, you're conditioning the other person's receptive places and vice versa, and you're creating a whole third organism. You're creating exponentially more than you could do alone, if you're in alignment and in a positive intent and action. Now, if you're out of your design in a negative intent, you create the opposite, and then more people create a problem. But when you learn one another and you can work together, this is the whole mastermind concept, which is amazing when people hear about this. The mastermind, it's in Think and Grow Rich and many, many other things. But still, that wasn't engaging the design element in it. You can have a mutual intent, but people could be fighting each other's design, trying to be alpha or, and then where someone else might be in beta, and goes back and forth. But when you have a similar intent and you're using your correct power pyramid of knowing your type, strategy, authority, and profile, now you've got them both going. You've got the vertical and the horizontal. You've got the God and the human that is you, and space and time and manifestation that is you, to create greatness. And many of us are doing that are all connected to this whole Rise Up crew and Cosmic Human Design and Alien Alpha and whatnot. And we know there's many of these around the world doing this. The thing that we have now is the accurate design, and that's the gift. And it is very, very powerful on a quantum level for businesses, not only in success of material growth, but of happiness and health of their employees that are enjoying going to work every day.
Yeah, and I think, Richard, you were being very light on organizations and businesses around the world that the dysfunction in them.
Oh, jeez.
I mean, they're a mess. They are a mess, and nobody seems to be happy at their job.
Exactly.
And are overworked. They are underused. They are in the wrong positions completely. There are so many people I talked to in different places I've worked where they're like, I went to college for something completely different than I'm doing right now. And that's a lot of places. And they actually were hired under their degree, and they sent them to a whole different department, and they're doing something that's completely away from anything they've ever learned before. So, there's just so much stuff that happens, and you wonder if you could design a business directly under the guidance of a cosmic human design. Start from scratch, right? You just start from scratch. You start looking for the people you want to hire through their design. And then you start to see who matches what, how you gel together. I mean, you guys, a couple of weeks ago, we had our 3 designs on the screen all next to each other. And now they're looking at the matrix, right? They're reading it all. I understand a little bit of it, but they could see channels, and they're like, oh, this channel connects to this channel. See, this is why you two get along. Like, they knew all this stuff. And it was just amazing to see and watch the process of them understanding the math and the chemistry between people and their designs, and to have that in a business atmosphere is just, I think, could be a game changer in efficiency, in happiness, and in the world alone, just being a tribe and a community again, because you're doing what you're supposed to be and where you're supposed to be doing it. It's good stuff.
Yeah, Greg, you know, you absolutely could design a business from the ground up using the Cosmic Human Design charts. Absolutely. In fact, I think that'd be a fantastic idea, and that more businesses should be formed that way. You know, in fact, and you know, I think that time is coming when human design and cosmic human design are going mainstream. You know, and people are. I think that's the reason it hasn't gone mainstream yet, is because we had the astrology wrong with the original human design for so long.
Bingo.
You know, like I said, you know, the Human Design YouTube channel only had like 10,000 subscribers when I looked at it. You know, when I discovered human design, I was like, whoa, you know, it should have way more. It should have way more than that, because this is the most complete personality system ever conceived. And now that we've actually got calculations correct and are doing the charts correctly, I just think it's going to take off. It's going to take off so fast. And, you know, the potential to form businesses with this knowledge is just incredible. Because, you know, you can even, not just the business organization aspects, but the business purpose and stuff like that as well, you know. Because you've got things like the incarnation cross in the chart that can tell you a lot about your life purpose, really, and what you're here to do. And you know, people could look at that and, you know, have the idea to form a business based on that, and you know, look at other people's charts and see how they fit in. Or know how to know the exact people that would be on board with the business from the start, you know, that would make it successful from the start. Because what makes a business successful is really the people getting along in the business, you know, and the business having a true purpose to it, that's needed in the world.
Yeah, and people's strengths and weaknesses being, you know, if someone has a lot of good strengths and they're being used in the right way every day, they're going to feel inspired. And what does that do? It inspires everybody around them, and they can go home and inspire their family. And that's what it's all about. And then any of their I don't want to call them weaknesses, but the things they're not as good at, there's going to be people around them that's their strength. And then you're going to just do this barter system, right? And it's just going to be, that's where it comes
you could
from.
just look at somebody else's chart and find somebody who, you know, feels in for your weaknesses, just like that.
Exactly.
You know?
Absolutely. And I look at that as more of, you know, where you're receptive. It's not necessarily a weakness. It's just not what you're designed to inherently consistently do. So when you become smart, besides what you're masculine in, which is what people see in the colors on their chart, you learn where you're feminine. And not only where you can attract people that can fill that, it will complement you and your masculine aspects, and it amplifies you. You know, it amplifies you, and you amplify them, I should say, with your feminine qualities. You amplify other people's gifts just by you being feminine with them. And so this whole strength and weaknesses thing is a truth. It's a truth that we need foundationally to be able to grasp. You know, I do this well, and I'm not necessarily inclined to do this. But really, it's more of learning to be receptive. You know, it's learning to say, hey, okay, so I can do so much by myself, but I can also be with a mastermind, with a group of people that can function within their alpha self, what they're skilled at, what they can do. And then when you see how you combine, you can cause greatness. And the gift of cosmic design is when you know it, and then you know someone with you that's working with you, or functioning with you, and they know it, you start to see that without even trying to do work, just the aspect that you two in energy causes things to happen, right, Richard?
Yeah, it's all the natural energy that's there, right? It's almost like, if you created a business with cosmic human design, it wouldn't even be work, it wouldn't even be work in the common sense of the word. It would be what everyone's here to do naturally.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, all I know is JARIN is the wings beneath my wing, or wind beneath my wings, because he fills in all the gaps that I don't have. So it just works out perfectly. But I know what you mean as far as when me and JARIN just have a conversation, just in a text message or maybe sending voice messages back and forth, whatever. Things happen naturally without even trying. They just happen. We just build something. We come up with a new idea. All of a sudden, we're like, hey, that was a great phrase. And then we just take off with it. And it feels like that would be the type of chemistry when you understand the internet of human beings or the God's blueprint, that would be the nature that you live in. This harmony, this ease to it, this just creative juices always flowing. And you just feel like you're always turned on by life because it's just you're reacting in your nature. Just it's not forced. You're just being you, and you're being encouraged to be as much of you, or the authentic you, or the alpha self, as much as possible. You're encouraged to be that. Where in other places in your life, think about your life and everywhere you go. How much are you discouraged to be yourself, right? How many places do you not fit in? Are you told to tone it down? Are you told not to speak up, right? You know, your boss is speaking. You're not allowed to bring ideas up because that's not your role. You know, so all these things that happen at all times in your life. Think about the overall just compound effect of what that happens. The little details when you don't get to speak your mind, when you don't get to be yourself in every situation, 30 times in a day, for 5 days a week. And then you get home for the weekend. No wonder you're going out and drink, right? Because you're just like, oh my God, I just got to let loose. I haven't been able to be myself all week. Make sense?
Yeah, exactly, Greg. And, you know, I think this is where society's headed in general is, you know, removing this false, like, controlling layer that's over top of it right now, where, you know, the fact is that there's only a few people who hold most of the power in our society today, you know, at least officially. And, you know, for example, in most businesses, yeah, you have to listen to your boss and have to do what they say, even if it's against your true nature, which, but the thing is that is kind of, you know, that system that we've created here, it's not right. And it's going to be, you know, transformed, I think, to where more people are in their correct roles. And I think cosmic human design can help with that. It can help a lot, because once you see yourself in the chart and see all these different qualities of yourself and see how you connect with the people around you, you know, you start to live a better life. They start to live a better life too, because, you know, you're living a better life and you influence other people. You influence the people around you, you know, even if you think you don't. Yeah, and as a matter of fact, you know, I just want to mention real quick that, you know, this is what Richard Rudd in the Gene Keys calls the synarchy, which is this idea that there's already these connections between people that exist. It's just that we have this false artificial layer, you know, covering it up. And in the Cosmic I Ching, it calls it the natural order of society, where everyone is, you know, in their kind of natural position. And it's not like a hierarchical system. Hierarchy only exists in the minds of humans. You know, it doesn't actually exist in the cosmos, where some people control all the resources, all the power, all the businesses. No, that doesn't actually, you know, exist. It only exists because we allow it to exist, right? But the day's coming, I think, when, you know, gradually more and more people begin to become more and more their true selves, and gradually everyone becomes transformed. Society as a whole becomes transformed as more and more people begin occupying their natural positions in society.
Yeah, great conversation. People are loving it on the chat board, so fantastic. I think because it's so real life. It's so it hits everybody in the heart, right? When we talk about the dysfunction of things that go on and the job environments and all those type of things. It's really tough. It's a tough world out there. There's not many people who get blessed to say, I'm so happy to be going to work today. It's very few. Most people will tell you, shit, it's Monday tomorrow, right? And then they feel this like anxiety. And that is a very rough way to live our lives, and that's not really the natural way we were supposed to anyways. This is, like you said, the corporation world took over, and now we've taken these human beings that were wonderful, amazing, creative, just entities that probably have amazing alien powers inside of them, but we have been so repressed and dumbed down and told we're no good, and put into these systematic systems of slavery, let's call it, that we now we don't have that expression anymore. And even if we do have a burst of expression, we're exhausted because we've been working all week. It's just this endless vicious cycle. And so to take on this cosmic human design in our lives, to start implementing it in, to see where we are most successful, and to start surrounding ourselves with other people that understand the system and can work together to build these communities, or even go in and build a business together, or get into a relationship together, whatever it might be, you're going to find a lot more success in that way of going about life than to keep on beating your head against the wall and trying to get ahead in this world in that way. It just doesn't work. So
yeah, you can't get ahead. You can't get ahead. It's designed to not let you get ahead. That's kind of the whole point of it, actually, in a way. Exactly what we said, to keep you down. But if you're a business owner out there, or an entrepreneur, or thinking about creating a new business, or even if you're just working for yourself, consider using the cosmic human design chart to build your business. Absolutely. Yeah. I think it'd be a fantastic idea. And, in the process, you yourself could live a more fulfilling life as well.
Yeah. And what's the harm? What's the harm, right? To give it a try.
Yeah.
And why not? So, Richard, you want to talk a little bit about the I Ching, the I Ching, right? So what part of it did you want to talk about tonight?
Well, Greg, I wanted to come back to, the basics of human design for people, because I don't feel like they really get emphasized enough, in a lot of the courses I see, people, they tend to get lost in all the terminology in a way. But what I really want people to remember is that cosmic human design, it's based on the I Ching. It's based on the I Ching. And I believe that the I Ching is it's more than just a book. It's more than just a book. It's like a living text in a way. And the 64 hexagrams in it, which are the 64 gates in human design, which, one of them makes up your personality sun, which describes your main, personality, really. These 64 hexagrams, they are describing, I believe, the 64 cosmic principles of harmony. Like these are literally the building blocks of the universe. That's what I'm saying. Literally the building blocks of the universe. And that's reflected in our DNA. That's reflected in our DNA. Each different hexagram corresponds to an amino acid that our bodies produce. It corresponds to one of the 64 codons in human DNA, which of course code for the amino acids. So, this is very important to remember where all this comes from. And, I think contemplating that can give you a, more, an uplifting sense of what all this is really about. As a matter of fact, in the most famous translation of the I Ching, the Wilhelm translation, you know, it was originally translated into German from Chinese and then into English. And a guy named Wilhelm is the German guy who translated it originally. I love it. At the end of the 64th hexagram, he says the I Ching is a book of the future. He just randomly says that, and nobody really knew what it meant, or knows what it means. But I mean, I kind of think he was talking about today's times, that we're going through now. These great changes we're going through now in the world. You can see there the I Ching, the book of changes.
I'm connecting a few dots. Greg will know what I'm talking about here. Shout out to Stephen Ferrato. I was looking at his group. He's got a men's group, spiritual alpha males in good ways on Facebook. And, last night I was reading one of the posts was, tell me some lyrics of songs that hit you, that really speak to you. And mine was, and she's buying a stairway to heaven. And if you look at that, it's a materialism aspect of saying you think you can materially get your way to heaven. Now, when I say heaven, I'm speaking of a state of being, and this is a new dimension that we're arriving to. So it's a place in space of which your being and your consciousness and your frequency exists. And the reality is using the I Ching and using your cosmic human design, where the math is correct and you're following your cosmic golden path, that's your stairway to heaven. Your stairway to heaven is in embracing the higher virtues of the gene keys that are inherently latent in your DNA and that are now shown to you in a direct map that's never been shown before on the earth. And I can't even imagine how historic it'll be years down the road. That besides just feeling and allowing and experiencing your way through it, you also have, understanding, mental capability, even, I don't want to say linear because this is quantum, but linear aspects to steps and places to be patient and places to be active to overcome the pain and suffering that the earth has been in and to overcome what the 3D world has been. And the only way is through. You can't fight or flight it. And this is what the gene keys, which is the I Ching modernized, can show us. You have to walk through it. And if you follow your cosmic golden path and you use your basic tools within cosmic human design, the mechanics, especially your power pyramid, strategy, type, and authority, and profile, if you understand these and you work together with them without being too mental, let's not be too obsessive. Richard and I can be obsessive over it. You don't have to be. But Greg is a master at intuitively going through it, taking in information and then using it, using it without having to understand every detail, which is what, I encourage people to do, because a lot of people become so obsessed, as Richard said earlier, with all the numbers and stuff and colors. And I'm just like, my God, you don't even follow your strategy and authority. So what are you doing with human design? And you have the wrong design. Okay, so now we have the right design. We're going to give you the right ways to go. You have your cosmic golden path, and this is your stairway to heaven. This is literally the stairway to heaven. And albeit there are many paths through it, those that learn the basic mechanics of this, just like we know how to drive a car, or that we need to drink water as a human, we need to eat, we need to sleep. There are basic foundational principles that will bring you on your stairway to heaven. And that's what the I Ching is trying to lead you to. And that's what your individuality within the I Ching will bring you through. But up until now, which, Richard pointed out, he talked about the wave of the future and what the Mayans prophesized and what the Bible's talked about. And we could go on and on. We are in that time now where that information is allowed. There will be more coming, but we have a foundation now where you can find your way to the new dimension by being your highest self and by walking through all the illusionary shadows so that you can live a free, abundant, happy life. And ultimately, like the Gene Keys state, live your higher purpose. And that is what's first. And that will become paramount and first for every human being on the planet, is to live their higher purpose.
Wow.
Yeah, Jarin, I love that you, have the Stairway to Heaven quote. In the I Ching, the original I Ching, heaven is, the first hexagram, and, Okay, here's what I want people to keep something in mind about the I Ching. About the I Ching. The I Ching, it's been kind of written into over the centuries, over the millennia, like Confucius, the Taoists, all these different schools and people kind of wrote their own ideas over top of the original I Ching text. And that's why I like to use what I call the cosmic I Ching, which is kind of this new translation of the I Ching, I guess you could say, that I believe represents the original pure description of all the hexagrams and all that. And in this new version of the I Ching, the first hexagram, heaven, it's called the cosmic consciousness. It's consciousness. So really, your stairway to heaven is within your own consciousness. It's within your own consciousness, and you use your own consciousness to get there. And it's, as JARIN said, it's in battling through these shadow states that have kind of embedded themselves upon the earth, in these times. And we're really going through a great awakening, in these times, and we're awakening from the shadow consciousness, which has, plagued humans for millennia, really. And we all, I just want us to all keep in mind that this is through consciousness that we're doing this. It's, consciousness is infinite, it's in everything, really. We've kind of been taught in the modern world that consciousness isn't really a thing for so many years. For example, psychiatry for many years didn't even believe that people had consciousness. You had Skinner's black box, where they just and the behavioral psychology, where they thought they thought people didn't even have thoughts, really, like people were just machines in a way. That's kind of what that boiled down to. And with the rise of technology and artificial intelligence, which in a way is a manifestation of humans wanting to give up their own authority for their own consciousness, in a way, artificial intelligence is, and distancing themselves from their own consciousness. So we're awakening from these dark times that we've been going through, and it's all through consciousness.
That's great, Richard. Yeah, I love the stairway to heaven. We always think about heaven being up there somewhere, right? And we always, that's the way we were taught as children. And it was heaven was above the clouds somewheres or something. And, when you think about stairway to heaven, you think about, okay, we think about vibrating higher on this earth. The higher we vibrate, the more we see better and have greater wisdom in life. And that's where heaven starts to come into us, because when we have wisdom, we start gaining heaven. And so when we are going through life and we start to realize things like this, the cosmic human design comes into our life, a guru comes into our life, a mentor comes into our life. Things happen to you when you're in the right vibrational levels. The right people come along, the right opportunities come along. Just, you find this podcast, you find a book that you have, it's been in your car rattling around for 2 years. And finally you're cleaning out the car and you're like, what's this I Ching book? What's this? Right? And you pick it up and you just start reading and you're like, I don't even know how I got in here. So things happen this way. It's just amazing. And so if we think about the stairway to heaven as our climb through life in the wisdom realm, we get closer and closer to having heaven on earth. And you got to remember that there are people are out there on this earth that are living in heaven right now. They're living their life of their dreams. They're living in the place they want to be in. They are waking up every day and going, oh my God, look at this sunrise, right? And they're in heaven. So we got to understand that just because you're not just because your life's got a lot of stress in it, a lot of things aren't going right, you're the most unlucky person on earth, you know, whatever you want to tell yourself. You can change that. You can start raising those vibrational levels, take the right paths, the right steps, start eating better, you know, have a little exercise program, and start studying things that are amazing, like cosmic human design, you know, watch some great podcasts, really start to expand your mind and then quiet it. There was a great quote on the Alien Alpha podcast, and it was, people were saying, well, how do you get into meditation, or when do you meditate? And Brandon, who was on there, he said, you got to remember that people think they have to go and do meditation, but what you are is meditation. And you go do being a human. You go play being a human. So remember that. And I was like, whoa, perception change, paradox shift, you know, paradigm shift, whatever. Boom. It was like perfect. So pretty amazing stuff there. So empower yourselves. Go ahead, Jarin.
Yeah, if I could add to that, I love that Richard equated that to the first gate in Gene Keys, and then spoke of consciousness. Consciousness is really attention. It's the awareness that you have attention. You are able to put your attention on something. That is a little bit of a quote from Sadhguru. I always promote people to go check out Sadhguru because he's such an enlightened being. But saying this, they will just say the system has convinced people that their ego, not even their mind. I'm going to say there's mind, but then there's the ego aspect of the mind. They've convinced them that that's what they are. They're a robot. And that's not what you are. You are the attention behind your mind. So your mind is an instrument. So we've spoken a little bit of this on one of the Mind Minutes of the Rise Up radio show a good year and a half ago, talking about how, you know, you can shift your attention from the greatest moment in your life and 2 minutes later to the worst moment of your life and cause your whole beingness to change in frequency and feeling. But who is doing that? You are doing that. And you isn't the mind, body, or emotions. You are the attention and the consciousness directing them. So to truly get into this awakening, for all of us, we must realize we are not the mind, body, and emotions. And as Greg stated, we are playing a human being. We are spiritual, cosmic, infinite, eternal beings that are playing a game in an avatar suit. We can control that avatar suit through our consciousness, our attention, and then are using our system correctly. And now here's where the gift of cosmic human design comes in. It is not just in a mental and emotional game. All of your 9 centers are given to you. You know where you're willed, where you feel, where you have the adrenaline, where you have the pressure to act, the pressure to think, the ability to express your higher self of soul inside of you. All these aspects are shown to you so that you can use your suit. And the better you get at it, the faster you'll go. And the more you'll want to go fast by engaging your whole suit. It takes a little bit of moving through the uncomfortable truth to get there. But when you get there, you know, this is like a movie, guys. This is like watching Avengers, and you have found your superhero suit, and all of a sudden you can break free. And it doesn't matter what happens in the world. It doesn't matter what political bill's been passed or all this other stuff. You start to change the reality with your wizardry, not only to what you want to manifest, but you even influence other people around you just from your place of beingness, and then knowing your design of expression or action or intuitiveness. And you can shift realities in a second. And the process that we're in is, we're going to do this, but then there's going to be another step and another experience. And the more that you become a conduit to your higher self, and I'm joking, I'm saying slave to God tonight, which really is where all of us are going on that stairway to heaven. You get to live free, and you get to also fulfill that life of being a gift to humanity and fulfilling that higher dimensional purpose that many of you family of light are feeling called to do. And cosmic human design is your suit to do that in.
Yeah, you know, that's one way of looking at cosmic human design is it's a method for, you know, aligning your consciousness correctly. And I say correctly because I believe that everyone was born with a kind of consciousness blueprint. Everyone's here to do to fulfill a specific purpose in their life. Everyone's life has a purpose, a cosmic purpose, but a lot of us have gone astray. I love it. There's a great quote in the I Ching that says, if a person tries to lead, he goes astray, but if he follows, he finds guidance. So it's really about following your truth, your inner truth of who you really are, and not what someone else tells you are or what someone else says about things. Your truth is always, always, always correct. Always correct. And when everyone is living in their truth all simultaneously, then just imagine how great the world's going to be collectively for all of us. Then it will literally be heaven on earth here. But you don't have to wait for that. You can live in heaven right now, by aligning your consciousness back to its original blueprint. And that, in my opinion, opens all of these doors. It's kind of cosmic doors, from the cosmos, where cosmic help in one way or another can pour in to you, and the thing is, most people aren't living according to their truth right now, and so they're kind of missing that help, and that's why their lives are suffering.
Amen to that, brother. Absolutely. We want to cut the suffering down in the world, right? And that was famous with Buddha, and the suffering mind, right? And taking us out everywhere. So, well, we're getting close to the end here. This show is designed to show you a little bit of what Cosmic Human Design can offer for you. We are developing the Cosmic Human Design Academy so that you can go right on and find that power pyramid. And but we encourage you to go over to cosmichumandesign.com. Put in your information. You're going to need the time you were born as well, and then you're going to have to convert it to UTC time. You'll see the little link there. Other than that, it's pretty straightforward and simple. You're going to get a big chart, and you're going to look for those main things: the type strategy, the authority, and the profile, and that's going to give you that power pyramid. And it's going to kind of get you started on who you can be in that. And of course, you can be guided by JARIN or Richard. You can go to them, and they will coach you along on the Cosmic Human Design. So if you want to get a hold of them, you can. And yeah, it's just an amazing thing here. I mean, I thought it was very, very awesome that we touched on businesses and how this can really improve or build a business using this type of design, putting people in exactly the spots they need to be, where they will excel, and where they will feel passionate, and they will feel like they are on a purpose. That is gigantic for a human being to feel. And it's a gigantic thing to kind of balance them out between ego self and also their higher self. So, and that's imagine that as an employee. Your employees are all balanced, yin and yang, strong human beings. Wouldn't that be an amazing thing to have? So really great stuff. We thank you for joining us. And we are on every other week, every other Wednesday night at 7:30 p.m. And like I said, we are designing that Cosmic Human Design Academy. So it will be coming shortly, folks. Hold on tight, because when that comes, it's going to be amazing for you guys to go right in there and to watch the three of us explain to you all these different aspects of who you are. You can go in and find the exact power pyramid you are and watch those videos just specifically for them. And then you can go and you can find out who your friends are, your family are, maybe your coworkers, whatever, to understand them better. Because think about that. When you understand the people around you, and even understand yourself, that's number one. It's a much different life, and you can start finding that heaven here on earth. So we really appreciate you guys joining us, and we will see you on the next Cosmic Human Design podcast. All right, everybody, have a great night. And remember, cosmichumandesign.com. Go